Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Janaran Yashodanandana Braja Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Jai Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jai Radha Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskrityam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastaprai Sabhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloki Bhakti Rotina Shiki Krishna Chodam Pagate Dharma Jnana Divisa Hello Nastadisa Mesa Purana Podo Nodita. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text number 5. Text number Today is text number 7, right? Which number sloka? Text 7? Yes, this looks like text number 6. Yeah, text number 6. तावद्भयं द्रविणदेहसुहृन्निमित्तम् शोकास्प्रिया परिभवो विपुलश्च लोभः तावन्ममेत्य सदवग्रह आतिमूलम् यावन्न तेङ्ग्रिमभयं द्रविणीतलोकः द्रवदेहस्वनिमित्रम् शोकस्प्रिया परिभवो विपुलश्च लोभः अन्ममेत्य सदवग्रहातिमूलम् अन्नतेङ्ग्रिमित्रविणीतलोका तावयं द्रविणदेहस्वनिमित्तम् शोकस्प्रिया परिभवो विपुलश्च लोभः तावन्ममेत्य सदवग्रहातिमूलम् यावन्न तेङ्ग्रिमभयं द्रविणीतलोका. Word by word translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Tavat, until then, Vayam, here, Dravina, wealth, Deha, body, Suhit, relatives, Nimittam, for the matter of Roka, lamentation, Priha, desire, Paribhava, paraphernalia, Vipula, very great, Sa, also, Lova, avarice, Tavat, up to that time, Mama, mine, Iti, thus, Asat, perishable, Avagraha, undertaking, Arti, Artimulam, full of anxieties, Yavat, as long as, No, do not, Te, your, Angrim Abhayam, safe lotus feet, Prab, Prabhinita, take shelter, Loka, the people of the world. Translation. O my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They are always they always try to protect wealth, body, and friend. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia, and they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable conceptions of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxiety. Please repeat. O my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wealth, body, and friends. Lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia, and they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable conception of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Tasmidina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bharat Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Kinanda. His prayer for creative energy. After going through so much investigation and the lotus wine, he could not he investigated the lotus. He went to the channel of lotus to find out its roots and its existence. He searched all over the place, and in that term he achieved four heads in the four directions. And after going through understanding the lotus, he could not find its roots and everything. Finally, he was frustrated, and finally he came back and concentrated his mind on the Supreme. And when the mind and senses were concentrated on the Supreme, after a long, prolonged time of meditation like that, the Lord revealed himself to him. And he saw in the lotus there was a beautiful personality sleeping on the water of devastation. And then from his navel pit, a lotus had grown, and then on top of the lotus, there was Brahma. He himself he found. At the same time, he also saw the creative energy in many forms. So this way, he was fully satisfied, and he is inclined towards generating the population. So now he is praying to the Lord to get such a inclination fulfilled. Now he is praying to the Supreme Lord, and he is making these prayers. And these are prayers of Brahma, and these are mostly who are praying to the Lord and his creative energy. So in today's world, today's prayers, Brahmaji prays. This is the actual habit of human beings, what they do and how they live their life. People of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. He is full of anxiety. Every instance we do something, we are frustrated, so we are filled with anxieties. Oh, I could not do this, I could not get this, I could not get that, and things are not proper. This is how anxieties are always there. What are the anxieties? They are always afraid. Fear of ill health, fear of losing the relatives, friends, families, and fear of death, fear of uh, poverty. So like this, these fears are there. Always trouble the living entity's mind. They always try to protect the world. Fear of being poor is also one of the greatest fear that remains, and that's why people always try to protect the wealth by all means. Even with their life force, they try to protect the wealth. And ill health is one thing that people try to protect their body. Body the anxiety is it remains the top priority also to protect the body. And friends, families are also one of the main anxiety that remains, and they try to protect the friends. And what others? They are filled with lamentation. Human body is filled with lamentation. Every instance there are lamentations. And then and the other is the unlawful desires and paraphernalia. We want to build a very big castle, buy a big house, or buy many furnitures. This sort of and buy a most expensive car. So this sort of unlawful desires, lawful desires and unlawful desires. Lawful desires is protecting the health. keeping a good health, and so that we can speculate on the spiritual topic is the lawful desires. Unlawful desires are those which we cannot get immediately. It takes a lifetime struggle to achieve such desires, like having a greatest house or having the most expensive car. The things that are unnecessary. These are called unlawful desires. And paraphernalia. Paraphernalia like kitchens, utensils, many other things that person needs. So this sort of subject matters are unlawful desires and paraphernalia. And they very seriously base their undertaking on the perishable concept of my and a mind. This whole thing of undertakings are based on me, my, and mine. This is my house, this is my car, this is my bank balance, these are my paraphernalia. So this sort of thing, all based on body. Even though body is perishable and at any moment it will perish, but people continue to keep their bodily conception of me and mine, my and mine. And as long as they do shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxiety. As long as our desires are not based on Krishna consciousness, we will continue to have such anxiety. Even temple devotees sometimes get anxiety because temple devotees, if they desire such paraphernalia, unnecessary things in their mind, they remain even though we are devotees. Seeing other man having a good car, if devotee desires such a car, then he has to work hard going out there and making money. And this way, uh, even the Krishna consciousness, at the beginning, Krishna consciousness is just kind of little bit of developing at that time. If we desire material thing, that then that will become a anxiety. So that's why uh, bodily conception of me and mine, we have to learn how to get rid of such desires. If we do that, then we are safe. Otherwise, we will be just like any other person in the world, all full of anxiety. This anxiety in the head is the most perishable, most undesirable thing. Because of this anxiety, uh, people work hard day and night. They get up at 3 o'clock and they go to work, and all day they struggle work, and in the evening they come back. So this way, all day long, spent without any Hari Bhajan, the glorification of the Lord. One may question how one can always think of the Lord in regard to his name, fame, quality, etc. If one is embarrassed by thoughts of family affairs, everyone in the material world is full of thoughts about how to maintain his family, how to protect his wealth, how to keep pace with, etc. Thus, he is always in fear and lamentation, trying to keep up with the status quo. In answer to this question, this verse spoken by Brahma is very appropriate. So devotees have to think instead of how to bring various material paraphernalia. Devotees have to think always how to glorify the name of Lord, how to glorify his fame, his qualities, his paraphernalia, etc. Devotees have to think of this way. Otherwise, if one is embarrassed by thoughts of family affairs, so what is the remedy for this? The remedy is instead of thinking of family affairs, one should think of how to chant the holy name of the Lord, how to glorify Him, His pastimes, His fame, His name, His qualities. So, if we do that, then such anxieties have no place to take place in our body. Such anxiety is a natural uh, in a human body, but If we replace it by thinking of the Lord, thinking of His name, His fame, His qualities, His paraphernalia, then it got solved. But if we continue to keep such anxieties, then we are not Krishna conscious. Anxiety is just like any other. So everyone in the material world is full of thoughts on how to maintain his family. There is no single person who doesn't think, how to maintain his family. Every single person in the world all thinks how to maintain the family. But although the family is maintained by the arrangement of the Lord through the three modes of material nature, but person always thinks I have to maintain. I'm the main conception. And this is how, because of such uh, desires, what happens? How to protect his wealth, how to keep pace with friends and families. Protecting the wealth becomes such a great anxiety also. Bank balance, is being bank balance. The bank has to be full, otherwise there is not enough money. So, and then keeping friendship with friends and relatives. If we don't keep our friendship with them, they will abandon us and we'll be alone. So that fear always exists. So by giving some money or some other way, always keeping friendship with relatives and friends. So this sort of things always stays. Thus, he is always in fear and lamentation. So this sort of anxiety existing in the head always creates fear and then also lamentation. This status quo. In answer to this question, this version is spoken by Brahma is very appropriate. So all these verses spoken by Brahma are all related to our lifestyle. A pure devotee of the Lord never thinks of himself as a proprietor of his home. So that is the difference. This is my home, this is my house. That conception is not there when you become Krishna consciousness. This is God's property. I am given it for temporary use, but as long as God allows me, I will use it, but it's all God's property. Keep thinking this is my house and I will enjoy it. That difference is the devotee's difference and Krishna consciousness and non-Krishna consciousness. Devotee of the Lord never thinks he is a proprietor. He knows nothing is in his control, everything is in God's control. He surrenders everything unto the supreme control of the Lord, and thus he has no fear for maintaining his family or protecting the interest of his family. So when everything is surrendered to the Lord, even though you are staying in some house, then there is no fear and lamentation. But as long as we don't do that, there is always fear and lamentation. So this is such a lesson to us, Krishna conscious people. As long as we don't, we keep the thought, this is my house, this is my family, I am the controller, that long, uh, the lamentation remains in the body. But as soon as we think this is God's property and we stay, may not allow, I should not be worried about, I am the proprietor, this is mine, this is my house. As long as we don't come to this understanding, that long lamentation will not leave us. We have to surrender everything unto the supreme control of the Lord. The supreme controller is there, he controls through the three modes of material nature. So that understanding, as long as we don't keep prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. That although every work is happening by the interaction of three modes of material nature, the foolish living entity thinks, I am the doer, I am karta, I am the cause of this, what is happening. Although cause is separate, but person foolishly thinks he is the cause. So that's where me and mine comes. But devotees of the Lord surrenders everything unto the supreme control of the Lord. So when he does that, then there is no lamentation of the family, friends, wealth, everything is uh, point from the fear of lamentation. Because of the surrender, he no longer has any attraction for wealth. To surrender like this, depending on the supreme control of the Lord, then he has no fear of the attraction for the wealth. Even if there is attraction for wealth, it is not for sense enjoyment, but for the service of the Lord. So if money comes in the hands of devotees, he wants to do the service of the Lord. Instead of thinking, okay, I will enjoy this money, it is for my pleasure. Instead of thinking that way, devotee wants to do some service to the Lord. So in that way, he is protected from the anxiety. Sometimes there is some attraction on devotees. Sometimes devotees want to make some money. But even though we see some temporary attraction, but later on, when the if devotee acquires the money he spends is for the service of the Lord. So that's why that attraction is different than the ordinary attraction of a living being. But for the service of the Lord. It's not for the sense enjoyment, but service of the Lord. A pure devotee may be attracted to accumulating wealth just like an ordinary man, but the difference is that a devotee acquires money for the service of the Lord, whereas the ordinary man acquires money for his sense enjoyment. So it's very clear how devotee acquires money to engage in the service of the Lord, engage other people in the service of the Lord. As for ordinary person, he wants to acquire money for his sense enjoyment. Thus, acquisition of wealth by a devotee is not a source of anxiety, as is the case for the worldly man. Come the anxiety. Money comes, money is spent for the service of the Lord, and there is no anxiety. Money comes, money is spent for the sense enjoyment. Sri Radha Madhava Hari ki jai. Srinathi Gopal ki jai. Sri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Money comes, money is spent for the sense enjoyment, thinking I will enjoy my senses, cinema hall, and watch nice movies. I will buy a new car and drive in the road with greater speed than others. I will, with my families, to see beautiful sceneries and things. So this sort of mental thought, I will do this, I will enjoy life, I am the proprietor, I am the controller, this sort of subject. Because when you go there, your heart fulfilled does not get fulfilled because only thing has anxiety, while service of the Lord has a fulfillment in life. That's why uh, the worldly man is full of anxiety, while the devotee same is also wanting the wealth, but the wealth is spent for the service of the Lord. So there is no anxiety. As for the worldly man, possessing the money is great anxiety, great lamentation. Because people who have money are filled with anxiety. They can't even sleep at night. They have insomnia. A lot of people have money, but they are not peaceful. Devotees may have money or may not have money, but they live peacefully. They have time, and they circulate on the service of in the service of the Lord. So there is no anxiety in the mind. And because a pure devotee accepts everything in the sense of serving the Lord, the poisonous teeth of accumulation of wealth are extracted. So poisonous teeth of accumulation of wealth of the devotee's life. Because everything in the service of the Lord has transcendental pleasure, while money in the hands of person who is not in devotional service is all based on sense gratification, and that is the greatest anxiety. It is not extracted from their life. the teeth of poisonous effect remains, and that remain becomes a anxiety and perplexity. If a snake has its poison removed and bites a man, there is no fatal effect. So a snake has a teeth that has a poison. As soon as it bites a person, there is no effect. Are taken out, that snake, even though he bites a person, there is no effect. Same way, if the money is utilized for the service of the Lord, there is no anxiety and lamentation. But if it is not utilized for the Lord, then the poisonous effect of teeth remains, and that becomes the perplexity, fear. Similarly, wealth accumulated in the cause. Similarly, wealth accumulated in the cause of the Lord has no poisonous teeth, and the effect is no fatal, not fatal. A pure devotee is never entangled with your worldly affairs, even though he the world like an ordinary man. Devotees also stay in the world like the ordinary man, but there is no, as the ordinary man has poisonous effect, so devotees has to stay in this world where devotees can go, but they stay in the company of a devotee, the glories of the Lord in each other in this way, and then they utilize everything in the service of the Lord to glorify the Lord, Lord's temple, Lord's paraphernalia, Lord deities, Lord devotees. So this way everything is neutralized and the poisonous effect, poisonous teeth, just like if we do that, then it is like the snake without the teeth. The snake without the teeth, there is no poisonous effect. Same way devotees utilizing everything in the service of the Lord, there is no fear and lamentation, and there is no mind also. Text number 7. दैनते हतधियो भवत प्रसंगात् सर्वाशुभोपसन्मनादि मुखेन्द्रियाये कुर्वन्ति कामसुलेशलभाय दीना लोभाभिभूतमनसो कुशलानि शश्वत्. Persons who are bereft of the all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate and are also bereft of good sense. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sense gratification for a very little while. Again, another prayers to the Lord. Persons who are bereft of all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about transcendental activity are all certainly unfortunate. So those who are bereft of auspicious performance of chanting and hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing the glorification of the Lord and chanting his glories is the pure devotional service. If we do that with attention, full attention, then that's where lamentation and fear goes away. Person does not do that, then they are unfortunate. Fortunate is the person who hears the glories of the Lord, who chants and sings the names of Lord, becomes fortunate. Also, transcendental activities, various activities that Lord did. Krishna book. Krishna book is filled with Lord's activities. Same way, Srimad Bhagavatam activities. So these activities, if we sing and glorify every single day, then we are fortunate. But as long as we don't do that, then we are unfortunate. So the ordinary person in the world, he doesn't glorify the Lord's activities, nor he read it, nor his attention are there. So that's why he is unfortunate. That's why perplexities and anxieties remains there. They are certainly unfortunate and also bereft of good sense. Enjoy the sense gratification with hardship, They enjoy that for a very little while, not so much. And then when enjoying the fruits of their results, they are filled with anxieties. So that's why if we want to enjoy the life of sense gratification, then we have to take the knowledge of the Lord and uh, glorify the Lord. If we glorify the Lord, then the sense gratification may be little longer. Otherwise, it will be very small time. There is not much time one can enjoy. Only way to get rid of anxieties and fear and lamentation is continuous chanting. Satatam Kitayanto, a continuous chanting of the holy name of the Lord and a continuous glorification of the Lord in a daily basis will give us some life here. Otherwise, this human earth is full of anxiety, full of lamentation, enjoyment. Purport. The next question is why people are against such auspicious activities as sharing the glories and paths of the Lord, total freedom from the cares and anxieties of material existence. The only answer to this question is that they are unfortunate because of supernatural control due to their offensive activities of performed simply for the sake of the sense gratification. So it is twice. If he takes the choice of sense gratification being behind the knowledge of the Lord, then that offensive activities, it is called the offensive activities. That offensive activities will bring lamentation and fear, and it is misfortune. Why people do this misfortune? Because of wanting a life separate from the Supreme, whether by ignorance or by the arrangement of previous activities, karma, or this lifetime fully knowing who God is. God controls the world at forgetting the God's activities and pastimes. If one simply puts his mind on me and mine and controlling the money, then he is called the unfortunate man because of trying to load it over the material nature. So this kind of uh, activities, why people suffer because of offensive activities performed simply for the sake of sense gratification. So the Lord's pure devotees, however, take compassion upon such unfortunate person and in a missionary spirit try to persuade them into the line of devotional service. Only by the grace of a pure devotee can such unfortunate man be elevated to the position of transcendental service. How one can be elevated to the spiritual position is mentioned here. It is by the compassion of a pure devotee. Sometimes devotees of the Lord go out and then they go way out of their service and they try to convince the regular person into Krishna consciousness. Just like we go out and give books to people. There are people who like to read books, gotten the real book of knowledge. So if some fortunate person who has great interest in reading reads the transcendental books of the Lord, then he can become Krishna conscious. All these European, American people, they were just simply readers. When Prabhupada came with his books, they began to read his books and they became devotees now. They are now sannyasis, gurus, and many other good positions they acquired, and they are pure devotees already. And so this happened because of Prabhupada's coming out of his way. He was a regular sannyasi staying in Vrindavan, translating his books. So he could have stayed in Vrindavan instead of coming here, but because of his guru's order that he should go out and preach to the Western world, so he came out, difficulties he went through, and he brought message to the Western world, and then that's how many devotees who never knew who Krishna is, what devotional service is, what is the conception I, me, and mine. These things. They were only thinking I should make money and develop myself. They were thinking that way. But when they achieve this knowledge, Prabhupada, they all become Krishna conscious. Now look at the whole world. Devotees are preaching everywhere. They are going. They are doing Harinam. So this is all because of Prabhupada coming and he is preaching. So sometimes devotees of the Lord go out and give this sort of subject and the regular person. So if we also go out and distribute books or do Harinam or at least invite people to come to our temple to engage in some sort of devotional activities, then that is their good fortune. Although whether they take it as good fortune or not, but it's happening. They come and take part in the temple activities, that's their good fortune. If they get the books and read it with their mind in it, then that's also a good fortune. And if they meet devotees and want to imitate what devotee does, that also is a good fortune. And eventually they will become devotees. So it is by the mercy of devotees that ordinary person becomes Krishna conscious. Otherwise, Krishna conscious. It's very hard. In the world, there is no such thing that brings person in Krishna consciousness. Only by devotee's grace, one becomes Krishna conscious. So that's why devotee of the Lord is great ordinary person to meet him, to learn something from them, to come to the temple, to engage in devotional service. It's all because of good fortune. Hare Krishna. Do you have any comments? Right. 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 Well, you know, yeah, in India there is like Ganesh temple, Shiva temple. There are lots of Shiva temples in India. Well, devotional who is supreme depends on your background. If your family members have worshipped Shiva, then you also worship Shiva. Without having a keen interest who is a supreme, you know. Those people who worship Shiva with their attention, they are not looking to see who is a supreme person. They just want to worship one God. It's a family tradition they do. Most of these people, if you look at, they are not looking for who is a supreme. Who actually looking for supreme is a very difficult. Who is a supreme person? Shiva is demigod, but on the other hand, Shiva is also almost in the God category. You know, Shiva is considered God, but he is not the supreme personality of Godhead. It's Krishna. Just like in India, there are many Vishnu temples. You know, Vishnu is supreme. But Shiva temples are also there. There was benediction also given by Lord that those who worship Shiva, there will be many Shiva followers. Lord has given Shiva that he will have many devotees. Shiva devotees are not really looking to understand who is supreme. They just want to worship Shiva and not worry about who is the supreme. They are not particularly engaged in understanding who is supreme. Shiva is all to all. Many people, even when bhagavatam and Gita, because the family traditions or people doing this sort of things, people just worship and consider Shiva as supreme. There are some books in the world like Shiva Puran, books where Shiva is worshipped as a great person. You know, Shiva is considered the greatest god. But really, if you go through all the books of the world, we find with the evidence that Shiva is not the supreme, although he is in the gods category. Lord takes a form of a to annihilate the world, but he is not the supreme. The cause of all causes is the Krishna or Vishnu. So most of the Shiva devotees are just worshippers of Shiva. They are not looking to see who is the supreme. That's my understanding. But if they read Bhagavad Gita seriously, then they can understand it. But it's just that they don't read Bhagavad Gita. They just read their book of Shiva, whichever books they have. They read and stick to that. But if they would read Bhagavad Gita with seriousness, then they would understand Krishna is supreme, Vishnu is supreme. It's just that they don't read it with all seriousness. And if devotees of the Lord are able to give them books and make them read, it's very hard for the person. I have experienced when you give the books to people, they just read one line and keep the book in the shelf. So that's why this conception of we must serve, we must become surrendered to Him and understand the knowledge properly and work for Krishna. This sort of thing does not stick to their mind. They just read, yes, it's a religious book, we should read a little bit, we should go to the temple on Sunday. This sort of cultural, it remains like a cultural event instead of surrendering full time in the service of the Lord, understanding Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam fully. Read Srimad Bhagavatam daily, word by word, properly. Then we know that we have to do some service, we must chant our round, we must do some devotional service. Otherwise, what is the meaning of our life? This concept, this kind of concept comes in the mind properly, and don't put our mind into the knowledge, and we'll be always remaining whatever we are and not developing Krishna consciousness seriously. It all depends on personal seriousness, how much serious he is on the knowledge. To his head, then he fully surrenders to the Lord. He tries to do as much as he can. But as long as we are not fully convinced of the fact that Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate authority, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate authority, then that long we will remain in ignorance, and as long as we are there, today's birth will be me and mine will always remain, and will be filled with anxiety and continue to exist in the body. But when we surrender to the Lord, by the will of the Lord, if He keeps me going, I go. If He doesn't keep me going, I will not go. When devotees work that conception, then there is no lamentation. Whatever comes by the will of the Lord, that will be our destination. Hare Krishna. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.